Hey everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube Live from Comptia, where we are all ears to answer your IT questions. I'm Kelsey, and tonight we are tackling the topic of IT support for everyone that's eager to get started in an entry-level IT position. We'll give you everything that you need to know to get trained, get certified, and get that job. Plus, at the end, we're going to give you an opportunity to download a free sample of our training material. So definitely stay tuned for that because there's some really good ones in there. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more great IT resources. And tonight, I'm joined by James and Randall, both of whom come armed with an arsenal of knowledge. It's really awesome to be able to work with such incredible people with such great experience when it comes to getting certified in IT, landing the job, and then of course, rising through the ranks throughout your career. So Randall and James, care to introduce yourselves?
Randy, how about you go first, man?
I'll go first.
right.
Hi, everybody. My name's Randall. I am a senior product manager at Comptia, which basically means that I work on putting together the certifications that we offer so that you can become certified and validate your tech experience. I've worked in kind of the digital assessment world, the tech world, and come as a career changer. So I might have the same sort of background that many of you are hoping to get to. James?
Thanks, Randy. Are you calling in from Chicago area, right?
Yep. I am in the sunny Chicago suburbs.
And I'm stealing Randall's internet. So
yeah. It is not sunny here in the Seattle area. Welcome, everybody. I'm James Stanger. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist, and that whiz-bang title means that I work a lot with technologists, with hiring managers, IT pros. I've done a lot of work in, web development, web design, cybersecurity, a whole lot of work with the Linux and open source space. So I've helped design programs for companies like IBM, Symantec, and of course, Comptia. So happy to be here, everyone. And I see Kelsey, we got people from everywhere, don't we?
Yeah, from everywhere. I mean, so from the West Coast and even down from Florida, where I used to live. Hey, Sammers, nice to see you.
You got Portugal.
Clifford, nice to see you. My cat just jumped up here. So this is Jet, everyone.
Hello, Jet. How you doing?
This is what happens when you're live. Yep. Okay. So it looks like
as if you hear a screaming infant in the background, not mine. Don't know where it came from.
Yes. I don't know if you want a random screaming infant in the background, but it's definitely his. He's a new father. Congratulations to Randall.
Congratulations.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, let's see. Texas in the house. Hi, Joseph. Hi, Lisa. It's good to see you. Gainesville, Florida. We know all about Gainesville. Go Gators.
New York and all sorts of things. Virginia. Yeah. It's looking good.
That's awesome. Well, hey, it's good to see everybody. We've got our Comptia team in the chat, so be sure to say hi to them. They're there to help answer any questions that we don't get to. I saw that there were some questions that were coming in already, which is awesome. And thank you to some of our tried and true helpers in there that have said, yes, you can do remote work as far as Helpdesk is concerned. So let's get right into it. I think that's a good place to start. So a couple of weeks ago, we had our pal Spencer walk through the IT careers roadmap. And that was a really nice walkthrough just to kind of give you guys an overview of the tool. It's interactive. You have your opportunity to really kind of, dig into each of the different parts of the roadmap of maybe you want to get started in, IT support all the way down to cybersecurity and all of the above. So, definitely take a look at that link in the description, but the first role that appears in the IT careers roadmap is an IT support specialist. So James, can you kind of, for the newbies that maybe aren't sure what that actually means, can you tell us what is an IT support specialist and how do I become one?
You bet. An IT support specialist is basically your trusted, computing friend, as it were. This person, she or he is going to install software, going to set up the hardware for your network, going to work on issues with workspaces and solve all sorts of technical issues. They're the master trouble shooter. And you might hear these folks called lots of different names, hopefully good names. But names such as desktop support specialist or IT technician or field service technician, anything else, Randall, just, chime on in. But as people work further in their careers in the technical support field or the IT support field, they could end up moving into management, or they could become analysts of the help desk, because what you have at the help desk are kind of these tiers. Tiers meaning stages of support. I think we've all seen the help desk page, the frequently asked page or the self-help page, that's kind of tier 0. And tier 1 is that person who can answer, frankly, the easier questions. Reboot your modem, or have you restarted your computer, or it's a simple software issue. But tier 2, it gets more complex. With tier 3, you're really talking about people who understand the troubleshooting process cold for various types of devices, whether it be a mobile phone, an IoT device, a PC, a Mac system, whatever. Stuff like that. That's kind of the area of the IT support specialist. It's a pretty cool one.
And I think it's really great that you mentioned this idea of the tiers in IT support, starting with tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, working your way up. It does also, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, bring into good focus that this is a field where there's a lot of progression in it. And once you get in as one of those help desk techs or in IT support, tier 1 or 2, whatever it is, you have an opportunity to move up. And it's one of the things really about working in IT that allows you so much latitude to really move up the ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've actually got a question from Elshank76, and they say, what are some of the IT basics a possible candidate should know and be able to explain for an entry-level IT tech support position? So we've got some skills, right, that we wanted to talk about anyway. So this is kind of perfect.
Let me take the easy ones, James, and then you can go through to the ones that are a little bit more difficult. How about that?
This isn't fair. All right, go ahead.
Well, I would like to frame it around the certifications that we offer. We offer our ITF Plus, IT Fundamentals certification, which gives you the basics of what IT is. And then really after that, the next thing is A+. And on A+, you're going to see a lot of these skills that are needed. But some of those skills are going to be like to make data accessible to the people who need it. If somebody calls in and they have a question for you, you're going to have to get them the answers that they need. And that's also going to require some sort of soft skills. It's very important to be able to communicate with people, to be able to talk to them and find out what it is that they need. And so that's paying attention to the descriptions of a problem in a computer and whatever the customer or the end user, who is the person on the other end of the line, is suggesting is going on. And then, you need to ask questions to diagnose them. Once you get to that point, work them through the problem-solving steps. Now that I've taken the easy ones, I'm going to hand it over to you, James.
Those are all terrific. I would say one of the first things that a good support person, in terms of skills, they put people at ease. They are people who are very good communicators, and they find ways to virtually, hold someone's hand, make them feel comfortable, because these people are frustrated. They're going to be frustrated on some level. So I would start with that, the ability to record and write down an idea, to be able to summarize a problem. So Randall, what you're saying is that the application isn't starting for you even though you click on the icon, right? You're repeating the problem back to the customer, that kind of thing. So there's that, you can call it soft skills. Last time we were talking with Amy, she was talking about, she would call them power skills. I love that because I think I threw that idea into Comptia and it came back out. So it's always nice to hear
you just want to be a superhero, have your power
you
skills.
did.
Well, we can try. Now, the other things, if you want to talk about the tech skills, the geek stuff, stuff like understanding of how an application does run. When you click on that little icon, what are all the different things that have to line up in order for that magic program, whatever it is, to run? So support libraries and configuration files, but also on a networking side, if you're having a problem with with an endpoint talking on the network, do you know how to ping something? Do you understand the address resolution protocol, DHCP? And I'll end with this. Cloud, even though you're not expected to be a cloud genius, you are going to be expected to reset access control. And if Kelsey can't get into a certain file or folder that she needs to, what's the access control problem? Now you have to reset that, resetting passwords, all those types of things. There's a long-winded explanation. So I
will say, Kelsey, as far as I know, has never had problems getting into any of those files, James.
Not yet. But I have had to actually, when I think it was back when I was setting up my very first laptop with Dell, of course I had questions, right? And at that time, I think I was like 13 and, had this snazzy new laptop. So I was feeling really good about it, but I had no idea how to work it. So definitely would help to talk through that with someone from the Helpdesk. And Harmony actually mentioned, I love troubleshooting with that entail Helpdesk. I say yes.
Absolutely. It is
Yes.
the foundation of what
Absolutely.
Helpdesk does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I was in India not too long ago. I got to go to the tech support center for Dell, and it was really fun because one building was all of the folks who support Europe, and the other building was all the folks who supported the U.S. Various issues. And many times the folks were used to using scripts. In other words, they would read a script about a problem or whatever, and we were basically talking about essential skills to move from that script-based type of tier 1, tier 2 approach to understanding the troubleshooting process and how important that is. So absolutely, that's something that is a major skill that people are looking for today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw a question from earlier that I think is helpful, and I think that we chatted about it a little bit last week, but I want to get into it as well because something very similar came up to me this past week as well. What good organizations, where are good organizations to look for internships? So, if you're looking to kind of get that technical experience and maybe you don't have, you have a full-time job, but you're looking maybe for something a little bit part-time, or you're looking for an internship to really start to find those skills. I mean, they're all around you. And what we always like to say is it's in your own backyard sometimes. My mom works at a church, and she was saying that they were having some issues with emails that were being sent out from the lead pastor, and it wasn't actually coming from him. So I was like, okay, that's phishing. And she was like, no, we're talking about work. And I was like, Mom, PH phishing. So I had to explain that. So there's a lot of organizations that don't have those, those teams in place. A full IT support team is not really what you're going to find. They maybe outsource that or have someone that they go to for those problems, but that could be a really good opportunity. Do you guys have other ideas for good organizations for internships?
One thing James likes to say, and I think this is a great one, this is why I'm going to use it, is, find yourself some sort of mentor. And that can be, just a group on LinkedIn, Facebook, Reddit. There are plenty of places where you can go that have the types of stuff that are going to be posted that you want to look for. Scouring the internet, which something you're going to be doing when you're troubleshooting. You're not always going to know everything that comes up, and a Google search really is one of your best friends.
Absolutely. There are a couple of different things to think about. In Europe, for example, in the UK, I noticed there were people logging in from Oxfordshire and I think London here. So how you guys doing? I noted I bring them up because in the UK, there are apprenticeship programs that you can access through various Comptia partners and other people as well. So there are formal apprenticeship programs in your country. I noticed, for example, somebody logging in from the Czech Republic. I haven't been to the Czech Republic, but I've been almost close to there in Romania. I'm just throwing out another example of apprenticeships that there are formal government programs that you can get involved in, and they're waiting, and you can start through various partners of Comptia. Another thing, just finished this. I've noticed that there's high schools everywhere. They need website help. And they need various kinds of IT help. If you go in and start that kind of apprenticeship, that could work out very well for you. It may not bring you money, right? But it will bring you the experience that will inevitably bring you money.
Yeah, and local communities are really important. You can, at libraries, oftentimes you'll see job boards, village halls, and if you're in university or college, community colleges often have the type of support there as well that I would really recommend.
There's like the Washington Trails Association, for example. I'm just throwing examples out there. They're always looking for those kinds of volunteers. It's not a formal definition of apprenticeship is that Randall employs me, usually at a lower wage, but then I learn the ropes and then I get the skills and everything. You could start with more informal volunteering, which is, I would call apprenticeship or things that could work really well. And that could happen from various clubs, various, Grange organizations, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah. And James, you just mentioned money. So I think that I'm just going to hop right into it because sometimes it's a taboo subject.
Why we're here.
I mean, we're here, we're talking about it. And the thing with this, guys, is whenever we're talking about salary and wage data, we have to say it depends. And it depends on things like your location. It depends on the demand for the job in that particular location. And then of course the industry that you're looking to get into. So keep those in mind when it comes to anything that we mentioned about salary. And that's one thing that Amy mentioned last week regarding the industry. No matter what industry you're coming from, you can get into IT from anywhere. So if I'm interested in marine biology and there's an opportunity to work in an aquarium in an IT department, you can do that. So just don't sell yourself short on those things that maybe you like to do, especially if probably a more apt example is, you worked in hospitality, but COVID has since changed that, or, you worked in serving at a restaurant. Maybe you need to find a different opportunity there, but you're really good at tinkering with tech. That's an opportunity for you to still be able to move into IT, and you're comfortable with kind of the experience that you already bring to the table, but you're just applying a little bit more of a technical background to it. So that employs some of those power skills that we were talking about earlier. Some of the power skills could be just your ability to communicate with the customer or with the consumer. So that's huge. So on the money topic, sorry, we kind of popped between power skills and money and all that stuff, all of the good stuff here. But you guys heard me talk about this till I'm blue in the face for the past couple of episodes. So Randall, when it comes to salary and how much money will you make as an IT support specialist, can you kind of help us out with that?
Yeah, we have median wage data that shows that it's about $51,000 a year. And that's for somebody who probably has, somewhere between like 6 to 12 months of experience. But that's a pretty good starting range. And of course, it's going to depend on, where you are, what you're, if you're in Florida versus if you're in Atlanta versus if you're in Montana, for example. Though so many of these are remote, that really does start to become a very, kind of that median moves closer to a true average there. But really the opportunity, I think, isn't just about that, just over $50,000 a year for that kind of very entry-level, mid-entry-level position. It's really the possibility to move up. And I see individuals all the time who start by taking A+, and that's really what we recommend. Is A+ is that foundational certification that's going to get you on this path, and that take A+, and 3 to 5 years later have moved up from being tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 within a couple of years, and go on to take something like Security Plus and become a cybersecurity expert. And they are making a 6-figure salary within 3 to 5 years, which is just astonishing to me that people can have this kind of career growth that rapidly. And it's one of the places we see the most growth in job listings as well.
That's right. That's right. I think, it kind of raises also the question, kind of how do you get there in terms of whatever salary you can command? Because again, like you said, Baton Rouge, Louisiana would command a different salary, the same skill and then in downtown Manhattan type of thing. But I think, to get there, I think some of the things that you could think about are as kind of an answer to "Hey now, Ron," whoever you are, Ron. Hey now, Ron. He was saying, "Would you agree with this analogy?" And this is, Ron. It's been a long time since I've taken the old SAT exam where they had the analogies. Maybe you guys don't even know what I'm talking about. I didn't do well with those because I kept coming up with my own rather than answering the question. All right, anyway. So James, would you agree with this analogy? Reading and writing is to liberal arts, as A+ and Network Plus is to cybersecurity. Yeah, I would agree with that. So start, like you said, Randall, with that foundation. And if you can, and to ask the second question, how to learn networking, right? From Brahma, great question. I would start with your ITF. Kind of, if you have to, start there. But A+, Randall, doesn't it get us into networking? I mean, there's 2 divisions to A+. There's the core 1 and core 2. But by core 2, you're going to be learning, serious information about troubleshooting a network. ITF Plus even would really make it so that you could look around your home office and do rudimentary, I know what's going wrong now.
Yeah, with A+, you will validate that you have the skills to set up a small home office or a small mom and pop office. Yeah.
You bet.
That's awesome. I actually saw another question come in. And this one is a little bit, it's specific to your situation. I'm not going to be able to say your first name correctly, but Jay Reyes says, I've been applying for jobs for a year now, and I'm in Columbia, Maryland. I have never received an interview. So help, how do we help them? So a couple of things is it's about experience. I know that we've kind of talked a little bit about maybe scratching the surface of what's on the A+ exam or both exams, but can you guys kind of help a little bit, in order to, I guess that's my first question for you is, do you have these certifications? That would be a good one. And I think that Hey Now Ron actually asked it as well, do you have a degree? That would be interesting to note because it's about your experience and what you kind of bring to the table too.
Yeah.
And really having the A+ certification shows employers and industry that you've taken the time to learn this, that you have these skills, and it's one of the things that will really help you land an interview and does help you land jobs. There, with COVID-19, there have been massive job losses, and it's maybe one of the reasons that many of you are watching right now. And if you look at how tech has done, it's done extremely well. And we used to see about 7,000 listings in the United States alone for IT positions that use A+ as a requirement. And that's only dropped by about 10%, which means that every month we're having over 6,000 new postings of new jobs that ask for A+. It's really one of those ways to set yourself apart and to get yourself in the door.
One thing, excellent points. One thing that we might want to think about with that previous question was two things. First of all, demonstrate experience. Try to demonstrate as much as possible. Certification can do that, but also direct experience. There's kind of a hierarchy. There's direct experience, indirect experience, education, certification, there's a hierarchy of how that's respected. So think about demonstrating that in your resume, et cetera. And which brings me to the idea of a resume. Personally, I write really bad resumes. Always have. Just, I need help. I need people to, it's like, okay, James, let's tell a narrative here.
You never were very to the point.
It's true, man. So what does your resume look like? What kind of narrative, what kind of story does it tell, and how quickly?
And the good thing is that we actually do have a bunch of content coming up soon that is going to help you with writing your resume. So be sure to subscribe to the blog as well, the Comptia blog. Yeah. It's got a lot of really great resources to help you not only, on some of those hot button topics that we're talking about, but then also, the issues when it pertains to your resume and how you can put your best foot forward.
So Saeed, it's question up there really quickly and just say, I don't think that's too late to get into IT support.
Yeah.
Just personally, and I've told this anecdote many times. So if you've heard it, I apologize. My father got his A+ back in 1996 when he was in his 40s, and it started a career for him that went from working in a record shop to essentially being a help desk tier 1, tier 2 for HP. And then he went to work at a university and was there until he retired. And it's not too late if you have the skills and you show the dedication. The jobs are there, absolutely.
Yeah, the workforce is aging, so why not be supported by one of them? Right. So, somebody. The other thing I would think about too is that there was a question, a different question. It was, what's the difference between a help desk tech and a help desk analyst? And that might be an indirect answer to Siad's question. Help desk tech is somebody who actually does the work and solves problems, troubleshooting, and all that. Help desk analyst is the person that helps the tech improve and looks at metrics and things like that. That's one answer between those two things. But at 58, it's very possible that with the experience that you have, the life experience that you had, you can move up more quickly as you pick up the tech. So something to think about.
Yeah, and
That's
getting
great.
certified with A+ is going to validate those basic skills, and some of the things that A+ does cover. And there are these basic things: IT infrastructure support, configuring PCs, IoT devices, mobile devices, doing backups. We've talked about getting operating systems working and troubleshooting. And if those are things that you do on a daily basis for your friends, for yourself, you're really the type of person, if you are thinking about a career change, that would be in the position to really, make that change and have the validation there with what we're offering.
You bet. That's a good point. There was a question about, what experience would you recommend before I get an A+ certification? And I think your point about getting into the tech, I think all of us can get free, Dropbox or whatever types of accounts.
You can get free Azure. Microsoft
Azure,
has,
cloud, AWS.
Yeah.
Right? Alibaba, for those who are out of Asia, they do that. My point, that it's a great service. Our point is that get as much hands-on experience as you can doing this. That is something that would make it possible for you to do better at the A+ scene.
That's awesome, guys. So I think that what will be helpful for everybody is if you're looking to figure out exactly what's on the A+ exam, I think that that's something that you can kind of learn a little bit more about. You can definitely download the exam objectives,
Start with
that
those
is the
objectives.
best place to start, because then you're able to see, okay, yeah, I know that already, or these are the things that I need to work on and maybe get some experience on before I can attempt that or make that investment.
I
So
probably said this before, but those objectives, for example, of A+, that's the distilled wisdom of thousands of subject matter experts, of people who work in the field every day.
Yeah. So Andrew S. has a question. Any suggestions for creating a home lab to practice common support scenarios?
Get a old laptop and get a cheap switch for like $5 over at Best Buy, and some cables and a router, and maybe another laptop. Put them together and break something and see if you can fix it.
Break it until you make it, or whatever. Fake it until you make it, or whatever. And I think the other thing you can do is, with that old laptop, that old notebook computer, you can download virtualization software.
Absolutely.
I prefer VirtualBox, but there's VMware. There's there's hypervisor. There's so many good stuff
and there's a lot of open source options as well. You don't have to pay for this to be able to do it. Yeah,
it's all free. Right,
and you can see in the A+ objectives where there are some recommendations for that, so I'd really suggest to go there.
Yeah, did you know that when it comes to operating systems, there's free, you can download Windows systems, and as long as they don't go into production, you can use those without having to pay for them. It's not illegal, it's not fudging and anything like that. And then, of course, there's Linux operating systems, all sorts of things.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. So, and another thing that you guys can do too, and this kind of leads me into the next one of like, okay, how do I train for the A+ exams? And the first, I guess, let me back up really quickly.
Sure.
To confirm, we've got A+ 1001 and we've got A+ 1002. So there are 2 exams in order for you to achieve the Comptia A+ certification. So just want to clear the air there, because sometimes people are like, all right, I got it, and okay, you've got one, so we've got to get you the other one. So, so there's that. But when you're studying for it, there's a couple of different ways to do that. And I love the idea of setting up your own kind of workspace to kind of tinker with things and be able to figure out how to fix it. But Comptia also has a few learning solutions that will help you guys do just the same thing. There's performance-based questions, and then there's also some multiple choice and some quizzing and things like that. But that's all through the CertMaster products. So definitely be sure to check those out. We've got a ton of different learning opportunities for you here. If you're more of a hands-on person, you kind of just want to guide yourself through it, we would definitely recommend that CertMaster suite of products. CertMaster Learn is awesome. We've been able to kind of take a look at it, and you're able to actually like plan things out. So if you want to say, okay, I want to take my exam in 3 months, it helps you to kind of give you those different checks of, okay, this is where you need to be by this point. CertMaster Practice is something that you take right at the end, right before, just to kind of as a final check, like, yes, I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm able to feel more comfortable just to kind of get into CertMaster Practice and get into your exam, which is awesome. And there's also, if you're, I don't know, are you guys learners that you kind of want to learn on your own, or do you like learning alongside a cohort?
I like to have all the options available to me. I love learning with people, but sometimes, I've taken classes where I'm just too busy to actually attend class, and I need a stopgap for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm more of hands-on sort of thing, but it's always great to ping ideas off of somebody. That's always fun.
Yeah. So if you are one of those people that does like to have someone there just to be able to bounce questions off, or have someone to study alongside of you, we actually have our live online training that we offer as well. Included in that, actually, you've got an instructor that's there to help you along the way. You've got your other classmates, but you also have those CertMaster products to guide you along the way as well. So definitely check those out. The links are going to be in the description for you guys to see kind of what works for you. But that's a really great opportunity for people that are looking just to dive in and start learning. Let's see, we've got a couple other questions coming in.
Looks like Lauren's doing a really good job fielding.
Yeah, Lauren, you're helping us out a bunch. Thank you very much. Sherry, you asked how many performance-based questions per exam. Randall, I'm going to let you take that one.
I'm going to tell you that we can't give you that answer.
That's
right. There are some people who would be rather unhappy with me if I answered that right now. But it's a good question. So there are performance-based questions on the exam, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to validate that individuals who take this actually have the skills. So it's not just answering multiple choice questions, right? you can study how to do well in multiple choice questions, but the questions that Comptia writes are actually really good questions. I've been involved in the process. But I will say that those performance-based questions, those simulated environments, really do validate the fact that you can troubleshoot, that you can get in and do the things that are required. And that's where the CertMaster products are extremely helpful, is that you get a similar type of situation so you can learn how to practice for that. And it really does show that actually getting in and doing these things, setting up your home office, getting some VMware, basically troubleshooting on your own is going to be exactly what you're doing on the exam.
Mm-hmm.
And the better you know how to do that, the better prepared you're going to be.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Harmony has a good question too. Do I need a book to study for A+? And it really depends on how you like to learn. Some people do want that study guide so that they can guide themselves through the process. Some people want to do those hands-on things with CertMaster products, and some people want to do that with the instructor. So no, you don't necessarily need one, but it depends on how you study, who you are and how you study.
And there are books available. We have an ebook available as well.
Yeah, there's some people I know, for example, at the CISO level now, and they tend to be book readers. I shouldn't say that. CISOs don't tend to be book readers, but the people I'm referring to, they love to learn by their books. They just read it like that. Good for them. I would read it and skim through it, and then it's right away, let's go break something. That's how I work, which is usually like when I'm working on my car, I have to buy 2 of every part I introduce to the car.
Well, you're not breaking those on purpose.
I break at least one. Yeah, not on purpose, at least not usually. So, yeah.
All right, let me see. It looks like we've got, and this isn't necessarily IT support related, but because that is our foundation, it kind of brings us all the way up to the top. So Security Plus is retiring later this year. And so the question is kind of like, why is it retiring? We don't want to freak you out. It's retiring because we update our exams every 3 years. Randall, do you want to
the exams are ANSI accredited, and every 3 years there's a new version of them. If you go to the Security Plus certifications website at comptia.org/certifications, I believe I got that right. Somebody will hopefully put it up in the chat for me. You'll see that the current Security Plus is going to retire, which will be replaced immediately by new Security Plus. It's just updating it, so we make sure that we have the most current objectives and current technology there. The exam itself won't go away. It's just a new version of it.
Yeah. So Kevin, you're writing your Security Plus on Friday. Congrats. That's awesome. Good luck on that one. He said, well, I need to do it again when it's retired. Once you receive it, you're good for 3 years.
Yeah, there's the CE program that you'll have to be a part of. So in terms of retirement, there are ways to renew.
There's other exams you can take that renew it. There's a whole host of ways to make sure you keep that certification.
Right.
Yeah.
And the best way to keep up to date about the versions of whether it be A+ or Network Plus, Security, all those, just focus on those web pages. Take a look at them, and they'll give you the relevant information.
Awesome. Well, you guys, this has been awesome. And speaking of training for A+ and, getting a new certification, we have that special treat that I mentioned in the very beginning for everyone tuning in. If you want to know what's on the Comptia exams, it's best to look at the objectives, of course. But we also made some sample exam questions as well as a sample of the ebook available to you. So check out the link in the description to download your free resources for A+. This will link you directly to the place where you can download. You can choose your own adventure of deciding whether or not you want just the exam objectives or just the practice questions, or you can get all 3 of them. Might as well. They're freebies. So you guys got to do that. I saw some people asking about discounts and things like that. And so this is something that we'd like to provide to you guys free so that you guys can start jumpstarting your learning there. So as always, it has been an absolute pleasure. Oh, wait, hold on. I was about to wrap it up, but there's a really good question from Nathan Reyes. Okay, so should I get the IT fundamentals or should I jump straight to A+?
It's a good question. It's a tough question. And look at the objectives for both exams. If you look at the objectives for ITF Plus and you think, I know this, I'm good with it, there's no harm in sitting for it, just to make sure that you can validate that you have those skills. However, for really getting a job, for getting interviews, we consider A+ a professional certification. It is the industry standard. And that's really what I'd recommend if you're looking to get into IT and have a career in the field.
All right. Yep. That's the way I look at it. The main thing is the one thing you do not want in your career are gaps. You call them lacuna, you call them, missing areas or whatever. You don't want those. And A plus can help you start out with that to get the right foundation, but maybe ITF plus is a great way to go. When it comes to roadmap, our career roadmap, our career pathway, you start that career pathway where it makes sense for you. So take a look at it, do some hands-on stuff, and then you can figure it out.
Yeah, really good point.
Awesome, you guys. Well, hey, it has been a pleasure. 35 minutes has completely flown by, and we really hope that we were able to answer your questions around entry-level IT jobs and clarify anything that when it comes to training, certifying, and then getting your lucrative, challenging, and amazing career in IT. We're really excited for you guys, and we're always here to help. James and Randall, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hey, if everyone, I know that we've got some people that maybe were asking about some higher level certs. So if you've worked in Helpdesk before or in IT support, in the comments of the video, definitely let people know, maybe if they haven't yet had a chance to work in Helpdesk, what's your best piece of advice for viewers that haven't been there before, maybe as aspiring IT pros? What's your best advice for them? Because I think that that's something that we want to create here is a community of people that are helping each other out. So I think that we can all band together, especially at a time like this. It's no better time. So cheers, everyone. And thank you so much for the time tonight. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel and take advantage of those free resources. Get those exam objectives, the practice questions, and that sample of the study guide. We will see you next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we are looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.